How the Trump presidency could affect the fighting in Ukraine. In his brief but dramatic political career, Donald Trump has demonstrated a propensity to sympathize with Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia. For example, he dismissed U.S. intelligence services during a 2018 Russia-U.S. summit in Finland and chose to believe Mr. Putin's denial of interfering in the 2016 election. This more optimistic view of Russia, which is shared by a sizable portion of the Republican base and some of the party's congressional representatives, is likely to reemerge as the primary factor guiding U.S. policy if Mr. Trump wins re-election. His remarks at a town hall meeting held by CNN this week gave more support to those who claim he is too cozy with Mr. Putin. The ex-president claimed he could put an end to the war in a day, but did not elaborate. He protested the expense of the military aid and refused to be pressed on whether he wanted Ukraine to win. "We don't have any defense mechanisms." He claimed that we are giving so much out while European nations are not doing nearly enough. While the U.S. Congress approved spending billions of dollars to support Ukraine over an extended period of time, Mr. Trump may use his executive authority as president to curtail or even halt such funding. When he was president, he did this in exchange for certain military aid that had received congressional approval. Although some of his Republican colleagues quickly denounced his comments, it is possible or perhaps likely that the U.S. would no longer support the war effort if Trump were elected in November 2024. The present administration's fervent backing for Ukraine and its vigorous diplomatic efforts to maintain a unified front with European allies on Russia sanctions would almost certainly be significantly reduced. There are worries about the effects of a Trump presidency in the UK, which is expanding its assistance to Ukraine to include long-range missiles. According to Sir Alex Younger, a former head of the British Secret Service, if Mr. Trump cuts off the supply of weapons, the conflict would end on Russian terms, which is the greatest nightmare for the West. Waiting it out is Putin's new Plan B after invading Ukraine without having a Plan B beforehand. Since the beginning of the war, popular support in the U.S. for aiding Ukraine has decreased, and a Pew Research poll released this week revealed a rise in the proportion of Americans who think the country should prioritize domestic issues. Professor of National Security at the University of New Haven in Connecticut, Jeffrey Treisman, says it's uncertain whether cutting off U.S. support will terminate the conflict instantly. It would drag on for years or decades. To their credit, he continued, the Ukrainians have demonstrated incredible resolve to fight the Russians and repel the invasion with initially little support. So it has the potential to continue and drag on for the foreseeable future, even if the U.S. were to stop providing assistance. If Kyiv is anxious, they are not letting it be known in public. Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, told the BBC the day after Mr. Trump made his remarks that he had no concerns about the 2024 election. He downplayed the possibility of worsening U.S.-Ukraine relations by stating, "I think that the U.S. elections are in a year. Where we shall be is unknown. By then, I think we'll have won. We'll see then."